Hello world, this is Zan. I'm going to be making a short video series on Titans in Dominions 5. At least the meta that I've witnessed, they tend to be looked down upon as too expensive or not all worth it compared to the human mages or immobile pretenders. Personally, I think Titans are super thematic, and in the right roles, they can be very powerful. So to actually start, I'll just talk about I'll just pull up some that I've made for this video, or not this one, but the future videos. Uh, most of the cons of the Titans, I guess, and I can start here, are going to be the opportunity cost that they present. Because generally, when you pick a Titan, they tend to be more expensive, and maybe they don't have the best path diversity, especially in some nations. I know, like the East Asian nations have a very small selection. So overall, you by choosing a Titan compared to an immobile or a tiny human mage, you might end up with a worse bless, worse scales, and some of the chassis themselves can actually be so prohibitively expensive that that Titan might be your entire nation because you might not have any scales or anything relevant of a bless. Uh, to make things worse, Titans tend to be easily countered because they can die kind of quick. In Dominions 5, I'm not sure if you guys know by now, everything in Dominions 5 can be killed. You can't cover every weakness, and Titans are no exception to this, despite being, a big size 6, so you can't be trampled. Usually size 6, you can't be trampled. Usually a lot of hit points, powerful magic, good equipment. You can still kill them, usually. There's always going to be something missing. There's always going to be a way. So there's a lot that really isn't going for the Titans so far. But they do have a lot of pros. The first one, and I'll list this just with complete bias, is the theme of the Titan to me when playing this game resonates a lot more than some fancy rock that gives a bless or some tiny human mage that just sits in the capital and does nothing all game. I think using a Titan is significantly more fulfilling than having the more common options. Using it in combat, having it cast big, powerful ritual spells, or just anything to do with it, I find it much more fun than the other options. Uh, Now, to the actual pros, is that given the correct situation and the proper Titan, they can be significantly more powerful than the other options of, again, an immobile or a tiny human mage. Titans, at least for me, I kind of split them up into 3 different roles. And the roles can bleed into each other a little bit, but those roles themselves, that will be like their specialty. And those are the Expander Titans, the Defender Titans, and the Utility Titan. And each of these, I'm going to try and make their own video so that I can go really in depth on what they are, but I can give you some examples with this list that I have here. So some of these Titans, just as a throwout, that you might see have this little lock sign. That means I've used it in multiplayer game. The rest are maybe I've used it in the past and it just got deleted between here and there, or it's an example. Somebody submitted it to me. It's on the internet somewhere, or it's just a sample of what could be a good Titan. So to start with an expander, a very generic expander that a lot of people use for Zabalba or Miklin is the Teteo Inan. And the reason for this is it starts at size 6. It has very good paths for general Titan work. It starts with armor, it has multiple attacks, and it has a retinue of snakes. By default, oh, and it also has Fear Aura by default. This is already a great Titan out the gate. It doesn't need equipment to function. You can use it on turn 1 and just start expanding. Should you use it on turn 1? That's a bit questionable. You should probably wait so you can see where you're going. You might run into a province with something you don't want. But an Expander Titan is something that you can use before turn 12 to, well, expand. Usually you're going to sacrifice a lot of your scales to do it, but they are able to expand well in a lot of cases And depending on the Titan and how you were able to pay for it, what paths you chose, they can bleed a little bit into the defender role. And now the defender role usually is a dormant Titan. And just to add this note, if I haven't already, this is all my opinion. This is my opinion as someone who uses Titans very, very often, um, and how I try to have the mindset of how I'm going to use them. So the defender role, and I use this guy as an example, they tend to be dormant. And this, in a ways, is probably the most difficult of the Titans to use because you will have the worst bless possible. Because some expander Titans will take a bless that helps them expand. Not often, but sometimes. So you will have the worst bless possible, and you will have the worst scales possible. Maybe better scales than an expander, but you won't have the provinces. So your expansion phase will be the most difficult with a defender Titan. But where they come in clutch is through their paths or some innate value of their chassis itself, they are able to defend you should you get attacked because a neighbor saw your poor expansion and said, well, he looks kind of weak, I'm going to attack him. They're someone that you should be able to walk into an enemy army, hopefully one that doesn't suspect you have a Titan, and completely wipe them out with no losses on your end. And no losses because the only person going into that army, that enemy army, is going to be that Titan and possibly 1 to 2 to 3 mages that are going to cast buffs on that Titan. So actually, this Kalian defender, he's good because Vine Shield. This one you directly walk into it, but most of the better defender Titans would have some form of magic phase ability, because it's very important that whoever is attacking you doesn't know that you have a Titan, or if they do know that you have a Titan, they don't know which method your Titan is vulnerable to. Because there's not every Titan can die, but there doesn't tend to be a one size fit all. Yeah, you can send 10 dudes with great swords of sharpness and armor piercing weapons that will kill most Titans. But there are certain kits that isn't good enough for. So the surprise factor is very important in Defender Titans, and so paths like Air 2 and Astral 3 at the very least are highly valued when it comes to Defender Titans. This is one I personally use in a very high skill cap game with Lucid. I think they're uploading it as Lyrian Hydra right now. I use this gentleman with Fallen. Uh, so I won't get into more detail on Defender Titans, but their purpose is to run into an enemy army by themselves or with a tiny retinue to help them be stronger and wipe it out with no losses to your own army. You can then use this to invade, or you can, if the tables are turned, you are invading someone, you can do the same thing. You surprise them with your Titan, hopefully in your Dominion or on the border where Dominion is low, and then you follow up with your army, which at this point, the current situation would be your army has taken no losses, and their primary army has been wiped out. The final Titan is one that I don't have many examples of. I've used 2 in the past, and these are the utility Titans. Their purpose is to shore up a weakness or grant access to something that your nation doesn't already have. Actually, no, I said I used 2. I've used 3. The first one I ever used was for late age Pythium, where I used the Kneader of Crafts with, I don't remember the exact path, this was a very long time ago, if it was Astral 6 or Astral 7, and Earth. And the whole reason I had this man was I needed to cast or craft items with this crosspath, say the crystal shields, crystal coins, any of the communion matrices, and his entire job was craft me things. He has a very good forge bonus, very similar to the ones of the Olmish Smiths, and his entire job was craft things and maybe later in the game throw up some globals with his very high paths. That was the utility Titan. And again, this guy came out dormant, not imprisoned, so that I could take advantage. So I have 20 more turns to use this pretender for things. If he can act as a defender, that's a happy little accident. Maybe there are things that he is able to stop in the magic phase with his astral path that The only thing that needed to stop that enemy is high protection, which you can get with his Earth Path and whatever armor he or any other mage in the nation is able to craft. Um, Another example of utility titan is maybe Resplendence, which I used for a middle-aged end game. There was a lot more work that needs to be done after I played that game. I learned a few things about end, but for that game, I used this god to shoot up my research. This is an awake researcher utility titan. He's able to shore up the research, add inspiring researcher +2. So combined with magic 3, now I effectively have +5 research to every mage. Ind has 4 recruit mages. You can kind of see where it's going. His job isn't necessarily to fight. It's really just stay in the capital and research and help other people research. And with that research, they go do something. So in summary, there's a lot of things you can do with these titans, but it's very important to have a defined role for them to do. And once more, whatever they do, you can bleed into the other roles a little bit, but there should be at least one thing they are very, very good at, and that is the situation you really want to use them in. Because when titans don't do well is when they try to do too many things at once, when they're built without a clear goal in mind, and then if they are built with a clear goal in mind, they're doing something they probably shouldn't be doing. So when I have time, I'm going to try to make some kind of footage in the background. So next time I talk, I don't just have one idle screen going on here. I'm going to try to make footage. And I'm going to try to go more into detail in these 3 roles of the Titans, the Expander, Defender, and the Utility Titans, with more examples, with hopefully some footage. And what I would like, just because this is easier, if you have any questions, please post them here in the comments. Any questions, any tips, anything. So that way this can be kind of like a community effort. It's not just me talking. I can point out, like I have some of these pretenders here that have been supplied from other good players like Toldi's Kreia or Mandar's Anunnaki. I'm talking to some other people on Discord right now for the same thing. So any questions you have, any tips, anything, please go ahead and add it in the comments. I could try to reply to it there, but ideally what I could do is at the end of the video series, I can have another video where I just go and answer the questions that people asked. Or if they want to see something specific in action, I can try and find that. And yeah, I think that'll be a nice, quick Dominions video, a good intro to Titans, and hope you like it. See you guys next time.